Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into this show today. Now, today's episode, we're going around the net with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. So we've got a few travel stories to start off. We've got some news on those Southwest lounges. Chase finally making some revisions and taking some away from their hotel bookings via the travel portal. Bank of America extending their partnership with Alaska. And of course, we have Capital One strengthening their trifecta, or at least making a trifecta now, by beefing up the Quicksilver card just a little bit more to make it interesting. So, of course, all that and more. So if you like it, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, let's lead off with those travel stories, starting with Southwest. About a year or so ago, maybe late last year, Chase and Southwest had sent out a survey, and part of it was talking about adding airport lounges. Now, we still don't have a ton of information about these lounges, but the good doctor was so kind to kind of go through and aggregate where these lounges are going to be based on filings with local counties and municipalities for the actual lounge space. So we'll kind of bounce through them really quick. They've got 5 lounges currently planned. So you're looking at Honolulu. So that's a 5-year lease, 9,500 square feet. That was approved. Then there's another 2,600 square feet granted as well. So again, I don't know if it's going to be an add-on or another location in the airport or what. Nashville, 30,000 square feet lounge with a construction cost of $53 million. Dubbed the Oasis, located in an area dubbed South Mezzanine above the Acme Feed and Seed restaurant. I've been to Nashville Airport, but it's been a while. But I feel like that sounds about right. I kind of feel like I remember where that's at. Denver is going to get one. So the CEO, Bob Jordan, called lounges in Honolulu, Nashville, and Denver a near-term pursuit, but didn't provide any other details. So Denver's getting one. Austin, 40,000 square foot lounge near the new concourse being built. And of course, Dallas, which would be crazy. I believe that's their headquarters. So you got to have Dallas, and that one's going to be a huge one. They're going through a big transformation at the airport, a $1 billion transformation, which will include lounges. So again, no real news on what's going to get you in. I would imagine it's going to be limited to their top tier cards, since they've gone through and recently refreshed their cards. That seems pretty standard, but we don't know if they're going to go unlimited access, guest passes, how many visits you get, that whole thing. And we've probably got a ways to go, and these were just filing. So, we'll keep an eye on that for the Southwest faithful for sure. Now moving on to Chase in their hotel collection, specifically through the edit. If you remember, one of the so-so things about the Sapphire Reserve refreshes, of course, they killed the true meaning of the trifecta, and by that sense, I mean you got the extra points boost if you were booking through the portal on everything. They limited it to a handful of properties. So it looks like they came out with a list that you can now get a 2.5x back through the edit, and you're supposed to be able to get 2x back on a lot of them, but from users and things that I've read, it doesn't really seem like there's that wide variety. And some folks are even reporting after this 2.5x addition, the average rates on everything else is about 1.6, something like that, 1.67, I want to say. So fifth third's magic number. So anyways, here is the list. We've got it on screen. Again, I don't have any experience with any of these because you're all over the place. You've got stuff in France, Japan, Spain, Netherlands, Park City, Utah, Portland, Oregon. So some Ritz-Carlton, a Grand Hyatt, a Four Seasons in Santa Fe, the Surrey and New York City. So again, too rich, too fancy for my blood. But there you go. Again, that's that's the target audience, the target spenders they want, who are targeting these places, who are going to stay there. But I think for most folks, here, at least if you're booking through the travel portal, you wouldn't be looking to do something like that. I would guess you're probably more transfer partners. Anything else, considering one of these is a Hyatt and the other one is a Ritz, both of which transfer partners. But hey, I guess there's that. Overall, not too much there, I don't think, despite their big fanfare. Now, something that is getting a refresh, it does become a little bit more useful, is Citi, who's been on a run with their cards as of late. This is one of their co-branded cards, the AT&T credit card. It's about a year or so old. Wasn't really much to write home about. Pretty meh when it came out a year or so ago. No, actually longer than that. It's 2022, so it's been actually quite some time, about 4 years. And so now they've got a little bit of, I say, a slight refresh. So take a look at this, because again, it might be interesting to you. So now you're looking at multiplier-wise, you're getting 3 back. on gas stations and EV charging, 2 back on AT&T, which is new. I think it used to just be 1 back on AT&T, 2 back on grocery stores and your grocery stores and delivery services, and of course 1 back on everything else. Important note that I did forget: it does earn thank you points, not like an AT&T specific currency. Still get the $10 per month line discount when you use this card to pay and have auto pay and paperless billing enabled. Again, if you're trying to min-max and you're like very late in the game, I think this could be something to look at now. Again, I like the Verizon Visa. The thing I like about this one is it earns thank you points, as well. Of course, Verizon just earns Verizon dollars, which, sure, if you have Verizon, I guess, which, why would you have the card if you didn't? But I would like a points currency that you can use however you want. So it could be a statement credit, it could be transfer out, what have you. So there you go. Small, minor refresh, but I do think it is enough to put it in consideration for some. Now, 2 people who have considered and decided to go the distance is Bank of America and Alaska. They are basically renewing their partnership, multi-year partnership. So we've got a fun press release for you to take a look at. But again, that shouldn't be any surprise, considering that they just redid the Alaska cards to be the Atmos cards now. And of course, Alaska acquired Hawaiian Airlines. So now from this press release, if you scroll a little bit down past the funsy words of "we love each other," it is kind of tips their hand a little bit at what's going to happen here. So Alaska and Bank of America are working toward Bank of America becoming the single issuer of all co-branded credit cards for the Atmos Rewards program. Again, Atmos is going to now include Alaska and Hawaiian. Hawaiian previously issued by Barclays, I want to say, so that you can't currently sign up for those. Remuneration from the co-branded card portfolio grew 10% in 2025, fueled by the launch of Atmos Rewards loyalty program and the new Premier Summit Visa Infinite. It is a really good card, so we don't need to read the rest of that. So it looks like they're going to be getting some new cards. Now, travel cards at Barclays were always hit or miss. The Atmos Summit card, or the Summit Visa Infinite, that's a really good card if you travel Alaska. I think they did really well on that, which is almost surprising given this junk travel companies and these credit card issuers are rolling out or throwing out these days. So I would be interested to see what they come up with Alaska. What we don't know is what they're going to do with the existing portfolio that Barclays still has. Would you move it all to Bank of America? Would you leave those guys over there and just start anew? I don't know. It's probably up to Bank of America if they want to acquire the whole portfolio. And if you have an existing Hawaiian card, are they going to change it to something else? Again, we need a lot more details on it, but we've got Bank of America in the mix again. I like what they did with the current Atmos cards. Sounds to me like they will still leave them separate, maybe, even though I think it's all Atmos rewards. If not, why say it like that? But again, we shall see. Now, if you don't like flying Alaska, well, you definitely don't want to fly Spirit, or you might not be able to unless Mr. Trump steps in and buys the airline. Yes, there is now. With last week we talked about Spirit Airlines. Of course, they've been going through bankruptcy. Then I think the Wall Street Journal said, hey, they could be liquidated like any minute now. Hasn't happened yet. So now we have a new headline from the Wall Street Journal again. Trump administration nearing a $500 million rescue package for Spirit Airlines. In return, the government would receive warrants to take a potential stake in the airline. I think they would own a significant portion of it for the $500 million. A rescue package is a nice way of saying government bailout. A lot of folks will have a lot of opinions about these government bailouts. I personally don't care a single bit. I've never really put much weight into oh no, it's taxpayer money. Once the government takes my money, it's no longer my money, and I don't get a say in how the government spends their money, which is my opinion. I expect that might lead to some debate down below, so I don't really have a strong opinion about them bailing them out. It's definitely kind of anti-capitalist, but we did bail out the bigger ones. But the bigger ones were definitely probably too big to fail. Where Spirit, I think we could do without Spirit, and it would be fine. But again, it's probably a lot of jobs, so might as well. We should take bets because I'm going to guess if the government owns it, what do you think the chances are Trump tries to rebrand it like with his name on it or something like that? How many pilot's hats do you think he's going to take? It's going to be something. It's going to be something that I'll find hilarious. Many of you will probably get upset about it, but that's kind of what I'm rooting for. Do it so he can own an airline. It'll be something shady to be sure. But overall, I don't really care if the government bails out people or not. It doesn't really bother me too much. It is interesting. I think we could do without Spirit Airlines. We just haven't really figured out how to do or cared enough to do the mid-size airline budget airlines over here, as well as they have overseas. So I don't know that saving them for competition's sake is really doing anything. And if you save them, I mean, what's not to say they're not going to run it into the ground again unless you get a different management team in there. Anyways, there you go. Maybe just stick to Alaska. So, last story of the day comes from Capital One. As we've known for some time now, Capital One purchased Discover, and just worst kept secret in the game, they likely just wanted the Discover payment network. There's only 4 payment networks, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express. And of course, it would make sense to eventually transition your own Capital One cards over to the Discover network. And they've slowly been doing that. There's a story a while back where they were doing newly originated cards. We're going to be over there. Well, now it looks like they've come for the Quicksilver. So it's a little bit of a blurry picture, but that's what happens when you steal your content from the internet. You can see the note they're sending out to Quicksilver cardholders. So coming soon, 3% unlimited cash back at grocery stores and gas stations. That's pretty significant. But if you scroll down a little bit, so existing updates, introducing, we just said 3%. You'll still continue to get 1.5%. That's meh. But you'll receive a new card and an updated number, of course, that runs on Capital One's Discover network. They definitely buried that part, in the order of items that folks would care about. It will be a different number, again, I forget what it is. Discover is what Visa's 4, MasterCard is 5. I think Discover is 6, maybe. I forget what the numbers that they start with. So it'll be a different number. It shouldn't be a new account or anything like that. So it's a small change, but I think this is well overdue for the Quicksilver card. You can certainly make the argument that, Capital One has long since been for people just starting out or rebuilding credit, and 1.5 on a no-frills card was totally fine. The issue, as I've said 1,000 times, is that Capital One's long since made it too easy to outgrow their system. So once you're past that point, where do you go? There's many people, some of you watching, have a Quicksilver card you haven't touched in ages. Then sure, enter the Venture X years ago, and it got interesting again. This is a small change, but, it kind of makes their... you could have both. It only made sense to have 2 cards. You could have the Saver, and the Venture X is probably the most popular. Or, of course, Quicksilver and Saver if you prefer cash. Now you can make the argument to have all 3 to strengthen your Capital One setup just a little bit better. Venture X, of course, being 2x back on everything. Miles, the Saver there's a little bit of overlap where they've got, groceries and dining. But again, if you bring in the Quicksilver with gas stations, I mean, that's going to help you out significantly if you, again, want Capital One Miles. So I think it's a subtle change. It's also definitely aimed at the Freedom Unlimited. I do think this puts it ahead of the Freedom Unlimited. These are 2 significantly more useful categories. A category in groceries that Chase will hide under the couch from or any chance they get. Gas stations as well. It's only 2% back, and that's on the Ink Cash, I want to say. So, the Freedom Unlimited being 1.5x as well, then 3x dining, sure, so it matches there maybe with the Saver, but then you've also got 3x drugstores, which I think is one of the silliest categories. I don't know how much money people really spend in at drugstores, man. I know it varies slightly depending on where you live, but it just really hasn't seemed like that helpful of a category personally. But hey, it might be helpful to some. So I do think this would put the Quicksilver above the Freedom Unlimited, especially considering if you go back, even the Unlimited, the portal redemptions and the Trifecta being long since dead. So overall, pretty good on Capital One. Quicksilver is an easy move. Again, I still think we'll see more of them move over. I don't think it'll be the Venture X because of the Visa Infinite deal. I don't know if they really want to go through the effort of standing up their own competitor to Visa Infinite internally. But all the no-frills stuff, I mean, yeah, it makes sense to just pursue that level of vertical integration. Why not? You bought it. So there you go. Good for you, Capital One, to close this out. So that has been the news for this week. So, of course, if you liked it, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel so you're posting content just like this every single week. And, of course, we're right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And, of course, every single day over on profitablecontent.com, which is the channel's blog. Always linked down below for you and on the homepage with the latest news stories just like this. Some bank promotions. I know we just posted something for Capital One, so if you really want to hit them hard, go for it. And on occasion, we have credit card offers as well. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for this one. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon this week.